A voluptuous trans adult performer waltzes on a prawn set, ready with her pendulum swinging. While this archetype of us certainly exists at the peak of trans fantasies, just how authentic or rooted in reality is it? To answer this question, we need to take an in depth look at the hormones that course through our veins and how they interact with our bodies, our minds, and state of arousal over time. Full disclosure, I've been on various forms and dosages of HRT, hormone replacement therapy, for nearly over 13 years. It took me that long to find and settle on the hormonal balance best suited for me and my body. So whether you're watching this as a person with invested interest in us or are trans yourself, I hope I can shed some light on what I call the alchemy of trans hormones, expectations, and biases. HRT is quite the common practice amongst trans people. For trans girls, trans femmes, and trans women, HRT often means two things: antiandrogens and estrase compounds, commonly taken together. Antiandrogens block the production or the binding effect of androgen hormones, such as testosterone, while estrase compounds increase estrogen levels or sometimes even progesterone in our bodies. Contrary to the common belief that these are supposedly male or female hormones, in actuality, they both exist naturally in everyone, regardless of sex or gender, be it usually in different quantities. Progesterone is a precursor to testosterone, and testosterone can naturally convert to estrogen in humans. Such is a circle of sex hormones. Therefore, it'd be a lot more honest to think about such hormones in a neutral framework and focus on what they do rather than get caught up in ascribing them with male or female signifiers. Case in point, the World Olympics has a shameful history of labeling some cis women athletes as not female enough to compete should their androgen level be above a certain point. Thus, some Olympic level female athletes with naturally higher androgen levels, exasperated by being an athlete, not only find themselves being disqualified or outright barred from ever competing, but also get their womanhood scrutinized and insulted in the process. Evolutionarily, humans are born with diverse bodies and genetics. While certain expectations exist based on general average observations about sex and gender, there is and will always be enough variance out there to challenge such preconceived notions about it. This is particularly true when it comes to trans people and hormone replacement therapy. A lot of it depends on how HRT interacts with our bodies and our individual genetics. To put it bluntly, I've seen HRT have anywhere from minimal effects for some trans people to moderate or even monumentally transformative effect for other trans folks. While most trans people do experience a metamorphosis in their transition timeline when they start HRT, it is more reliably from gaining a more positive self-perception, as the act of taking HRT in itself can be quite affirming for most early in their transition. Though hormone replacement therapy is not an end-all be-all, it might even surprise you to hear of the two most drop-dead gorgeous, feminine trans women I know, one is currently on no HRT and the other regularly cycles off of it. Sexually active trans men who are on testosterone can attest to how more profound their sex drive is on androgens, often comparable or even greater than the average cis man's. This is a testament to how central androgens can be to one's libido, regardless of the shape of one's body parts. Similarly, that highly aroused, well-endowed trans woman erotic performer you see in Trans Prawn is likely operating with androgens in her system. That, or she's on some serious performance-enhancing pills. This is at the heart of the disconnect between erotic fantasies, which involves us having manic levels of sexual appetite, and reality. Most trans women, especially in Northern America and European continents, opt to have low androgen levels, which directly translates into notably lower sex drive. For those who are on anti-androgens, sexual desire can still be there, but with limited fuel, it'll be nowhere near the same level of oomph or frequency it would have been otherwise. For some trans people, this can be a desirable effect, as the spontaneous model of arousal, which is what androgens bring about, can be dysphoric for some to experience, while for others, losing that level of libido can feel like a huge loss or an unwanted side effect. We're all different, and so are our euphoric, dysphoric specifics on the subject matter. While erotic fantasies often depict us in androgen-fueled states, for trans women on standard HRT regimens, sexual desire tends to take on a more subtle, dispersed form, working on a more responsive model of arousal, which heightens sensual senses in the absence of a raging libido. So, if you're looking for trans companionship, it would benefit you greatly to keep in mind that HRT does have a significant effect on the kind of sexual connection a trans partner would be open to. But please, don't go around asking what we're on. Hormone replacement therapy, with all its merits, is often overhyped in trans communities, perhaps in service of legitimizing our transition to ourselves or to others. This sometimes makes it difficult for us to separate ourselves from the discourse and objectively assess what HRT actually does for us and whether it be congruent with our needs. I've witnessed many trans bodies happily bloom into voluptuous shapes on HRT, and I've also seen the reverse happen to some slimmer trans girls who ironically had a much more feminine silhouette before putting on weight under HRT. And moreover, were not at all happy about the shift in their sex drive. Needless to say, individual results vary, but our self-perception might sometimes lead us astray. HRT is not some magical talisman that will automatically do everything we hope it'll do for us. It is but a tool. Established HRT standards might work perfectly for some, while for others HRT giveth and HRT taketh away, setting some of us on a path to go expediting beyond the established standards. I won't go into the many inventive ways me and some of my trans friends have gone about doing this, nor endorse any method in particular. I will, however, emphasize that it is crucial to involve a medical professional, if you can, in your HRT endeavors, as it is a dangerous road to venture down by yourself. I was fortunate enough to have an open-minded endocrinologist on my side who worked with me, monitored my health and biomarkers throughout the process, was receptive to my feedback, and most importantly, never claimed authority over my autonomy. And that, in retrospect, gave me the freedom to figure out my particular trans-congruent hormonal balance. I can only hope you to be as fortunate with your healthcare provider as I have been. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more, like and subscribe. I am Little Black Lure, and these have been some of my musings.